Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, in our ongoing study in Rudolf Otto and Naturalism and Religion. We've got a little mini lesson here. We've got pages 97 to 128. And it's just looking at reasons why Professor Otto tells us to negate the theory of descent. So it's just a lesson on negation. But it will conclude chapter 4, so it's going to be a short lesson, but it will wrap up chapter 4. So let's take a look at block 1, the theory of descent. And Otto tells us that the forms of life, the theory of descent says that the forms of life can be arranged in an ascending scale of evolution. And Haeckel claimed that the origin of the forms of life proceeded in a mechanistic manner. However, the modern position by Wiseman stated that this theory should only be regarded as a provisional theory, as a guide to research only, not as some kind of axiomatic theory. So block 2, the theory of descent as a guide to research only. Virchow stated an anti-Darwinian position, not because of any religious conviction. He rejected the man from monkey theory, and additionally von Marilaun also criticized Darwinism, and Fleischmann also wrote on the rise and the decline of the theory of descent. So the modern view, according to Otto, is that the theory of descent is on a decline, and it should only be considered a general theory, but not one that really has verifiable specific content. So block 3, we look at the theory of descent as a general theory only. And he references Reinke and Heyman on this. They did consider the theory of descent to be an axiom of biology. However, they qualified it by saying that the evolutionary process eventually diminishes with regard to differentiation and transformation. Preliminary stages of Phil embryos are primitive cells which bear the possibility of their outcome. Therefore, there has not been one genealogical tree. Instead, there have been branching genealogical trees. Therefore, they posited polyphyletic descent. Polyphyletic descent. So the modern position is going to be, and this is from the secular realm of scientific investigation, but block 3, note 2, what is this polyphyletic descent? It says there cannot have been an origin of higher types from types already finished. Living substance is capable of developing spontaneously and afresh on its own. Therefore, we should posit iterative evolution. Also, phytogenesis states that some species may stop short in their stages of embryonic development. The groups of forms are great trunks from which are born many branches. And so the group of forms theory, block 3, note 3, unicellular cells must be thought of as having within themselves widely diverse evolutionary series in kind of like fan-like rays. The theory of evolution is the laying down of foundations after the pattern of generalized simple forms. From these foundations, different branches of differentiation arise, all according to type. Therefore, the modern theory says that the theory of descent is not a smooth course. Otto says, now we have to consider what should be the response from religion. According to this modern theory of polyphyletic descent. So like I said, this is a very brief little negation lesson. We've already learned from the composite that Otto does propose a moment of negation, and that moment of negation included negation of the theory of descent. And so it gives us a little mini lesson here to state that the theory of descent that talks about an ascending scale of evolution in a mechanistic manner is absolutely a falsehood. We should reject the man from monkey theory because the theory of descent is on the decline. Therefore, we can look at it as a general theory with definite holes and discontinuity within its specific content. It is not a uniform, smoothly evolving system at all. And he concludes by wrapping up with Reinke and Heyman, and he says that we should, from the scientific community itself, we have a differing view. Because what we have now is polyphyletic descent, which means that there are varying genealogical branches. There's not one self-sufficient monism anymore. There is no reason to posit a self-sufficient monism even from within the scientific community. Self-sufficient evolutionary monism is now denied, says Otto. So a recall triad would be basically theory of descent and then qualification of theory of descent reaching polyphyletic descent. So monistic theory of descent, qualification of monistic theory of descent, reaching polyphyletic theory of descent. And because of that, we're going to have an entirely different response from religion, from the religious point of view. So basically we get a very concise and very precise reinforcement of Otto's position to negate the theory of descent. If you remember the composite, the second moment was moment of negation. The theory of descent within scientific worldview needed to be negated, and he gives us support from the scientific community itself prior to religious theory that yes, it should indeed be negated. And he gives us the scientists who back up that theory. But he's telling us that there is a theory of descent, but it's no longer self-sufficient monism within the scientific community. It is no longer self-sufficient monism. It has now become polyphyletic descent. No longer self-sufficient monistic theory of descent. So this is our little mini lesson. We get out in at about 10 minutes. So it's just a great little recap from Professor Otto to tell us that the scientific community itself supports the notion of the negation of a self-sufficient monism for the theory of descent. It is now polyphyletic. It is now polyphyletic, not monistic. And we're going to pick up next time in chapter 5. So we've concluded the first 4 chapters. We have our composite completed. We have that for the remainder of the book to refer to. And we just had a little recap of the second moment, the moment of negation, specifically dealing with the negation of the monistic theory of descent. Not the theory of descent in its entirety, but the theory of descent as monism. Because it is still proposed by the scientific community, but as now it is polyphyletic descent. So we'll pick up next time in Chapter 5.